Hi, I'm Larry Moody. 90% of the people in East Palo Alto know me as Larry, as coach, as Mr. Moody, council member or mayor. I've been serving since 1992. I've been running a lot of the youth development activities in the community. I was one of the first directors of the Boys and Girls Clubs of the Peninsula. Started many initiatives with faith-based organizations in the community. I've been a real strong nonprofit advocate. Have coached numerous basketball teams, baseball teams, football teams. I have grown. I had grown up with the East Palo Alto community from the 90s to today. I was an individual that was first elected to the East Palo Alto Sanitary District in 1996. Yeah, 96. From the Sanitary District, I was elected to the Ravenswood City School District, where I served as a trustee and then became the vice chair and then president of the board. During my time as the president of the board for the Ravenswood District, we had the highest gains in API average within that decade. We raised the test score 68%. We had the highest level of teacher retention during my tenure there. From there, I was elected in 2012 to the East Palo Alto City Council, where I served for 4 consecutive years and was reelected in 2016. And today I'm seeking my 3rd term as a council member for East Palo Alto.
Each candidate has shown support for affordable housing, but I feel like you've added that sort of caveat. One of the things you said is, I don't want East Palo Alto to be Silicon Valley's dormitory.
Oh, you caught that, huh?
so I'm wondering, yeah.
Yeah, I think, Lloyd, it's very apparent. I mean, we have carried the bulk load of affordable housing in San Mateo County. We're at 40%. And while other cities, surrounding cities in the county,
40% affordable housing, you're saying?
Huh? 40%. Mm-hmm. Right. 40% of our housing units are deemed affordable through the AMI index of San Mateo County. So the goal for me, getting right to the point, is to find other pathways to develop affordable housing in East Palo Alto, but also to encourage our neighboring cities to do their fair share. All right, so let me first start about what we're doing, what Larry has been doing locally. Over the last 2 years, I have mobilized the faith-based organizations, the churches in the community, all right, to begin having a dialogue around housing development on their church properties. Now, it's a very, it's a tough subject to raise with churches because you want churches to believe that they are always going to flourish, but because of declining activity at the churches, we found many of our churches, about 38 different churches in East Palo Alto, many of them were struggling with retaining their congregations. So an individual church that might have 100 parking spots now may only have like 30% of those attendees at the church. So we're saying anyone that owns land, we want to have a conversation with you about developing affordable housing. Now, the tough part with the churches, because churches are reluctant to lose control over those housing units that might be built. They want to have a pathway where they maybe can be developers on their own property and then make a determination as to who's going to rent or live in those units, right? So that's the high wiring act that we have to walk. One of the things that we've been able to do as the city is to support local churches with the activity of planning. That first piece of activity that you have to do, kind of pencil it out and then bring it to the planning department division, right, for scale and consideration. We brought in funders that will help alleviate that cost for the churches that want to participate. And I'm glad to report, I just got a notice just by 5 days ago from our assistant city manager that 3 churches are now in the rotation for developing affordable housing in East Palo Alto, right? So that could be anywhere from 8 additional units per location, or as many as 32, because with the scale of the lots. So that's innovative. That's looking for local partners, right, to work with us to address the affordable housing piece. And then we have a great opportunity. Obviously, we're going to develop 935 Week Street through the city, and I was instrumental in identifying funding through Facebook in 2017 when I served as mayor, right? And through we created a funding mechanism where Facebook not only gave us $20 million, right, that we can use to develop our own housing, but it also allows us to help support other organizations or even neighboring cities who wish to build affordable housing, and they need some additional funding to make that happen. So, for example, our Light Tree project that has just been approved, when we're bringing an additional 90 units online, we were able to make a $6 million contribution, right, towards that project going forward, right? So I'm real proud of the fact that, you know, being a part of that conversation in 2017 with Facebook, making sure they gave us enough money that it could be relevant for our community, right? And here's some of the results of it. So, and also I've been involved with the Home for All initiative of San Mateo County, representing East Palo Alto. But more importantly, asked to sit on that panel by Warren Slocum, who's the president of the County Board of Supervisors, right, to help develop a strategy for all of San Mateo County. Because Lloyd, when I say East Palo Alto cannot be the dormitory for Silicon Valley, well, that also gives other cities an opportunity, right, to do their fair share, to get involved. So cities like Burlingame are doing affordable housing now, right? And it's because we have friends and relationships up there. San Carlos is doing affordable housing. Belmont is doing affordable housing projects. So that's the type of activity I bring to the table, right? By being collaborative, looking to find partners who can help move this issue around affordable housing, because possibly some of the individuals in East Palo Alto who can't find housing here can be a part of the list that the county has for housing, and land in a really good community that offers a lot of the amenities that individual will like.
Is there say a percentage for the city to have a certain amount of commercial development as opposed to housing? Do you have a percentage in mind?
I don't have a percentage. If you ask, for me, it's really about how do we demonstrate that we are a part of Silicon Valley, right? And by creating a community that has amenities, services, and appeal for the local residents and for those who surround us who are interested in what opportunities are available in East Palo Alto. So, i.e., we are a very culturally diverse community. I could see commercial developments being reflective of that, where we have a lot of different types of retail shops here that reflects the diversity of our community. I can see restaurants that reflects the diversity of our community, and they're maybe a little more upscale than just a local corner mom and pop type of store. I think we have the ability to create an environment for our young adults, people your age, to want to come in to East Palo Alto, have a great meal, to be able to socialize and to be able to network. We don't have that here in East Palo Alto, right? I have 4 sons. My youngest twins are 26. My oldest is 32. They're spending all their disposable income, right, in San Francisco, Oakland, San Jose, Redwood City, all these other communities. And they tell me all the time, Dad, why can't we have a place where I can invite my friends and we can go out and get a meal and have a beer or watch a ball game? We have to create those types of, that type of environment, right, for the East Palo Alto community. Now, I don't see us to be being a big retail outlet type of community, right? But I do see us providing in our commercial platform more services than we actually have right now. You know, for
With all
example,
those,
if I want to go to the cleaners, I got to go to Menlo Park, Redwood City, or Palo Alto for dry cleaning.
do you see all those things you mentioned about amenities, or like say like bars, for example? Do you see that being built out in the Ravenswood Business District by any chance?
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. I think the Ravenswood Business District, and that's why I'm so opposed to anyone that thinks that we need to revisit that plan. I mean, we've already vetted that plan out. You know what? 2 years ago, we finalized our general plan. We finalized our specific plan. We knew exactly what we wanted to have in those 70 acres in the RP in the redevelopment zone. So going in, we know that we want mixed use. We want retail, right? We want food and entertainment options, right? We want basic services, maybe a small grocery store, right? Maybe there's an opportunity, maybe there's a larger Costco or something of that nature might come in. Then we also realize that we want to have businesses, right? Because we need the tax dollars, right? And then maybe there's some upscale housing, or maybe not. But light industrial going all the way out, right? So we can we can offer a East Palo Alto that has jobs that are readily available for our local residents.
What role do you think tech companies play in the future of the city? Do you think they should start providing financial support?
Absolutely. They should treat us the same way they treated Menlo Park with Facebook. They should treat us the same way Google treated Mountain View. Same way, right? I mean, community benefits and also help build up our infrastructure. Now, the challenge is we don't have a reason for them. We haven't created an environment for them to invest into East Palo Alto. So that's why it's so critically important. All right. So think about it, right? So,
well, hasn't Amazon already invested in East Palo Alto as it was?
Oh yeah. And so that's the only one. So we got one. We got Amazon, right?
Big one.
It's a big one. And the beauty of it is that it's John Sobrato, right? Take Amazon's name off, right? John Sobrato and the foundation, when they made a decision to build in East Palo Alto, they were looking for a tenant. Our planning commission approved a Class A office building that could house a Amazon, okay? Not knowing Amazon was initially going to be the tenant. So the important thing to really focus in on is the developer relationship. Because if John Sobrato doesn't come here, Lloyd, right, we still have a vacant lot on the corner of Donahoe and University, right? Because we, the city, we don't own the land, right? We, the city, don't have the revenue, right, to do development, to do projects of this scale. So take Amazon out of it. It's people like John Sobrato, it's people like Sand Hill, it's people like Woodland Properties, who, when they make a decision to invest in the East Palo Alto with these projects, right, then they give us an opportunity, right, to embrace a tenant who might have the Amazon logo. No building, we don't even have a conversation with Amazon. And that's the interesting thing about them moving into East Palo Alto and really kind of positioning themselves to say, hey, if we don't come to East Palo Alto at that site, well, guess what? There's an opening, another site in Foster City, right? And then there's another site we're considering in Mountain View. Amazon was just looking for a site, right, for their cloud industry, right? So it really took the partnership and the courageous leadership, which I was the mayor at the time, to work with Sobrato, right, to bring Amazon in a manner in which now we get $485,000 a year in tax revenue. We have a 10-year lease agreement with Amazon. They gave us $1.2 million in community benefits cash that went right into our general fund. And then they gave us the East Palo Alto Employment Center. And they said, look, we understand about your first source hiring program, but if we have a need for over 300 employees, if you got 40% of them who have engineer degrees and background, we'll take them, right? But on East Palo Alto, only 12% of the East Palo Alto population has a college degree, Lloyd, right? So what is Amazon to do, right? The first source hiring program really had no teeth. It was a good faith measure effort when we built IKEA and we did Home Depot to make sure local residents had the opportunity to work in those service-related jobs. So when tech comes, it's a different conversation.
How do you want to create more jobs, not just in East Palo Alto, but also for its residents? I know Measure HH is one thing the current incumbents like to cite. How do you ensure the residents will benefit from some measure like Measure HH and just future plans in general?
So if you know the definition of Measure HH, right, $250 per square foot for office space, right? The other language was 30% of those 30% of those dollars would go to career training, technical training, construction training, right? Those types of organizations. If local residents want to participate in those industries, get the training and the certification, here's a pool of money that would help them, all right, along the way. Lloyd, that's Larry's language. That was Larry's rider on HH, right? So the council supported HH, but on the condition that we also penciled in, right, this pathway. Because an individual from East Palo Alto, where it's only 12% have a college degree, right, we have a high percentage of residents who have a failure to complete rate. They need to be certified in a trade. And I was very sensitive to that. I'm being endorsed and supported by the Labor Council, knowing that the importance of their industry and identifying individuals to work. Once again, let's create the pathway, right? Let's work with JobTrain. Let's make sure JobTrain is a partner that's on board for our local residents. Let's work with Kenyatta College. And I'm on the President's Advisory Commission for Kenyatta College and was instrumental in launching a pilot program that provided shuttle service for East Palo Alto residents to get to the Kenyatta campus. Not just one shuttle route a day, right? Every hour and a half, Lloyd, beginning at 7 in the morning, right? Mm-hmm. Students can get on that shuttle, get up to the campus, get the training, get the classroom instruction they need, and be able to catch a shuttle, come back into the community. So those were very intentional roles of leadership being executed. And, you know, so HH is really, and HH, we're building up the HH fund in anticipation of more development coming down the pipeline.
Do you have a plan or any plans to mitigate the impact of the pandemic? And the city's seeing some of the highest positivity rates compared to the entire San Mateo County. So do you have a plan? Yeah,
let me start from the backside, right? Use sanitizer, wash your hands, right? Wear a mask, social distance. That messaging has to be a part of our culture, right? We have too much evidence to show that if you relax in that area, right, the outcome could be deadly, right? Each and every day, what is it? Today there was over 20,000 COVID cases identified in was Wisconsin.
So
Right?
are you suggesting that the city should invest in public campaign messaging or
No,
for
no,
wearing
no. All
masks
right,
or?
so let me finish my thinking.
Okay. Mhm.
So I'm really taking this from the backside of your question, right? Those are must-dos, right? Those are must-dos. You actually have to commit yourself to incorporating that safety into your culture. The other piece on the COVID side is the testing came in so late, right? That we as a community didn't know, we anticipated that we were going to be a high risk community, but because of the lack of testing, because of the lack of a history of healthcare for a community like East Palo Alto, right? We are the last to get served by San Mateo County, right, in the state. So obviously, with that, there's a high percentage of our local residents who are essential workers. There's a large percentage of our residents who are undocumented. So there is that disconnect fear factor around testing. Then there was the tension of the rent moratorium. Individuals in our community were stressed out, didn't really know how we were going to manage, right, rent and what was going to happen with their families. So the council comes to the rescue. We extend the moratorium, right, even before the county did. We worked with our local partners, Woodland Properties, and the other landlords in the community and said, let's see how this thing is going, but let's at least give our local residents 90 days of relief, right? Then we also said, San Mateo County, and this is public record, and you can pull it up, Larry was the first council member to demand that the county bring testing into our community, right? Why? Because there was too many barriers for our local residents to make it all the way up to the event center, right, to get tested, right? We have childcare issues that other communities don't have. We have transportation barriers that other communities don't have, right? Because we have the relationship with San Mateo County leadership, Warren Slocum, who's an endorser and supporter of mine, Mike Callaghy, who's an amazing county manager, they responded. And the beauty of it all was our mayor, Regina Wallace-Jones, picked up the ball and really kicked that can into their side of the court, stayed on top of it, got our local staff involved. Now we have been able to test, I think the number is right around 6,000 people, right? And here in East Palo Alto. Now, initially, all those residents weren't East Palo Alto residents, right? They were people who come from Santa Clara, Palo Alto, they'll go to their nearest testing station. But the good news is the confidence of local residents around testing and EPA continues to go up, right? So now we're part of the county rotation around testing. I think we are doing equally as any other city in San Mateo County in Northern California in terms of trying to provide that care and support for local residents, to make sure that they have the information, and more importantly, they begin to trust. You gotta, at some point, you gotta trust, what they're telling you is true. So we have to change the education, make sure individuals know that those symptoms that they've taken for granted oftentimes could be early indicators that COVID is right around the corner. And I do anticipate that within the next reporting cycle, numbers in East Palo Alto are going to start coming down.
When it comes to the impact that the pandemic has on renters, low-income renters specifically, people who have racked up debt and also lost their jobs, still maybe have reduced hours or still don't even have a job. Do you think the city should do anything about that? Do you think they should perhaps provide, financial aid?
I think we are, right? I mean, so we're working with Samaritan House, the county, the city council, and you're going to find with me, I am always going to echo what we, the city council, have done, because it takes a majority of the council to create an action, right? I'm not going to be a candidate that says, all right, when we were giving out public funds, I did this, or I led this up. So we gave the council, we gave $300,000 right off the bat to Samaritan House to take care of local residents, to give them a pathway to find relief. Then we have local organizations, nonprofits, two nonprofits, Job Train and Live in Peace, that created a fund for local residents, right? Especially those who are part of their database and their client base, an opportunity to not only get case management, but get financial relief, all right? I think we as a council, and I'll give her a shout out, our mayor, Regina Wallace-Jones, identified a donor that was able to bring $1 million into the Samaritan House coffers for East Palo Alto residents. That's great news, right? But that's being responsive. That's also demonstrates the leadership that is required of being a city council person.
What should East Palo Alto Police Department's relationship be with
anyone that speaks to defunding the East Palo Alto Police Department doesn't know this East Palo Alto community. One size doesn't fit all, right? This is not New York. This is not Detroit. This is not Oakland. This is East Palo Alto. We have had the highest reduction of crime and violence, right, in all of San Mateo County. I think it's 6 years consecutive. And it's because the local residents have made a commitment to work with our public safety officers to develop a community policing program that is authentic and works. Here's an I moment. I was the one, my wife and I, we started the first national night out activity in East Palo Alto 15 years ago. I wasn't on the council. I was actually the director of the Boys and Girls Club at the time. Reason being, Lloyd, we believed, raising a family of 4, that my sons needed to know or have a relationship with the police department. As a result of that initial National Night Out event where you have a big block party and blah, 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 today in East Palo Alto, the first Tuesday in August, there are 10 sites in the community hosting National Night Out events, meaning, one, community policing as a strategy is working. It's given the confidence of the local residents that they can talk with, interact with, engage their local law enforcement officers. And then it also creates a pathway for looking at law enforcement as a career path for a lot of our local residents. I mean, at one point, we actually had 3 East Palo Alto residents who were part of our East Palo Alto PD. So anyone that wants to bring that strategy to EPA, they're really not connected with the importance of the relationship between the community and our police department over the last decade, and how hard we worked to dispel the images of the 90s.
But do you think there's enough oversight and transparency between the department and the rest of the city?
There can be more. There can be more. No, absolutely, there can be more. I think it's appropriate, right, to have as much oversight in that area. But I also think our Police Officers Association, the POA, who also endorses me, would say yes to that. They're willing to be make themselves available to that level of scrutiny.
One resident wants to know if you have a plan to address the lack of sidewalks and lampposts in many parts of East Palo Alto.
Yeah, so interesting thing, the only thing the city is really required to provide are lamp posts, right, light posts, and public safety, right? So, i.e., once again, economic development, right, cures all of that. If we get more money into our general fund, where we can offer more services and more development projects for our local residents, we'll get there. Now, we have one of the best public works director in all of the Bay Area. I mean, Kamal Falaha has been with us for 2 decades, well respected, well received. He's been able to identify, I think, like $26 million in grants over his tenure here. So he has been a blessing in terms of his ability to bring resources into the community when we didn't have a tax base over here like other communities, right? So part of our response, our only requirement is to, not requirement, our only ability is to identify grants on a state, county, state, and federal level that will help our community build itself out. Now, as we increase our economic development and our tax activity, we will certainly be able to better schedule our community in a way that every street has a sidewalk, every street has a paved road.
Beyond what schools are supposed to provide, beyond the upcoming EPA Arts Center that's being built out, what sort of resources do you think City Council should invest in for the youth community in EPA?
Oh, EPA for our young people? Oh, so that's my number 3 priority. Right? Have you seen my priority list?
Yeah.
All right. So that's my number 3. It's the Ravenswood City School District. Ravenswood City School District, Lloyd, is the largest landowner in the community. They have the facilities. Actually, you got great facilities. Right? The five campuses are great facilities. They have great athletic fields, right? But they're struggling with declining enrollment in the district, so much so that they had to close 2 schools. On the flip side, we have a lot of youth programs: football, baseball, basketball, rugby, right? And we need to coordinate field usage agreements with Ravenswood so that the city can get back into the park and recreation business, right? Where we can manage, right, those activities. And a part of the trade-off is not only will we bring facility use revenue to Ravenswood, right? Not only will we create jobs for coaches, tutors, mentors, and things of that nature, but we can also bring in our public works department. So our public works department can take care of all the maintenance, right, on the exterior of the school district. And it really will send a signal to the community that we're unified and we're committed. You know as well as I, most healthy communities are identified by their healthy school districts. And those school districts are a place of gathering and a place of community convening. So we believe that if we partner with Ravenswood, and also Ravenswood has the ability to get involved in the housing industry as well, to do housing projects that could help enhance their ability around the teacher retention issue, to build housing, right, that could take care of teachers, to do like Eastside Prep School did, right? They built a dormitory, right? And they told their teachers, you can stay in the dorm, $100, right, a month, and you shouldn't be late to school. You shouldn't be late to work, right? Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Why is it crucial that you maintain your seat on City Council? Some challengers have said that it's time for a fresh perspective. One might say that it's time to speed things up. I'm curious to know how you interpret that phrase from a fresh perspective.
Speed it up, huh?
Yeah,
right, so and I'm wondering. I think part of it's the confidence I bring to the community that the work that I do on the council. I am a convener, but I also, alongside with the majority of the council, I've made a lifelong commitment to know this community, right? So I've worked under the leadership. I've come up through the rank and file. I've served. I call myself a servant leader because it's really my faith walk that allows me to serve in this capacity. The reason why, what happens for us right now is the critical opportunity to move forward, right, with our development, to move forward with our housing strategy, which I think we're real solid there. We know exactly what we want to do on the housing front, to move forward with these partnerships, these relationships. If we make the mistake of placing first-time individuals in those seats, their learning curve is going to be so high, Lloyd, right? Not that they're not quality and well-intended and all that, but their learning curve is going to be so high that the community will be held back from the pace of engagement that we have the potential of maintaining. Because we have done a lot of great things over the last 6 years, right? To be in a position right now where we can be a new East Palo Alto. Now, if we allow others to come in with a new slow growth, right, frame of thinking, let's vet this developer process a little more. We don't trust developers. It's going to slow. It almost will cause our partners to say, maybe we should consider going somewhere else. Because it has to be a joint level of confidence between the Sobrados and the Sand Hills, right, and the Emerson collectives and people who want to participate here and do projects, right? Bay 2020, these groups, right? We got 15 groups that want to build here, and it's because they have the confidence in today's council that they could do a good project that's going to benefit both sides. Now, for example, Sobrado told us very clearly the other night, if you don't take care of the sanitary district issue, right, maybe we have to take our project somewhere else. Well, we've already lost primary school, right? Primary is going to build on Week Street. Now they've taken the opportunity to go into the empty school site that Ravenswood has. For us as a community, we have been invested in that conversation for 4 years, right? And looking forward to them building, right? They went through all their environmental stuff. We were really looking forward to them building it out. They were going to build a state-of-the-art facility that they were going to share with the city, a state-of-the-art gym, a STEM center, right? That they were going to share with the city. And we lose that because there's a disconnect at the sanitary district. We can't allow that to happen. We are the city, right? We are not a partner agency to the sanitary district. We are the lead entity of East Palo Alto.